Hello, my creative friends. I'm Viveca with Viveca Renee Designs. I'm really excited to be here with you. Today, I'm going to show you how to create and design a vintage-inspired Christmas card like this one in Silhouette Studio using Dingbat fonts. I'll show you how to make images from two different sets of Dingbat fonts that I've designed and turn them into a layered card that's perfect for gift giving, scrapbooking, or holiday decor. We'll walk through a short explanation of dingbats and glyphs, and then I'll demonstrate how to locate and use individual dingbats in Silhouette Studio, how you can modify the dingbats to suit your needs, and get your design ready to cut. You don't need to be a graphic designer to follow along. Just bring your creativity and let's get started. So you may be wondering, what exactly is a dingbat font and how can I use it? If you've worked with dingbat fonts before, you already know how much fun they are, but if you're new to them, let me just give you a quick intro. Dingbat fonts are just like regular fonts, but instead of letters, each character is a little vector image. That means you can type it, resize it, cut it, or print it just like text. It's like getting a bundle of 26 hand-drawn graphics right in your font menu. These are perfect for designing cards, stickers, gift tags, and more. And each individual image is called a glyph, which is just a fancy word for a single character, image, or symbol. Some fonts that you purchase or even get for free have hidden glyphs that you won't see on your keyboard, but you can find them using tools like the Glyphs panel in Silhouette Studio or a character map, which is just a chart that shows what position all those images are on your keyboard. They're a great way to add fun and personality and some charm to your crafting projects. Okay, the first thing we need to do is open up Silhouette Studio. Everything that I'm going to show you today, all these different techniques, can be done in all editions of Silhouette Studio. So just know that it doesn't matter what version you have, you'll still be able to manipulate these fonts in the ways that I show you. There are several tools on the Silhouette Studio menu that we'll use today, but first we're going to start with the text tool that's on the left side of the workspace, and that's this icon right here. We're going to click it, and it will bring up the font menu here, and I'm going to click on the workspace, and I want to make it bigger so that I can see what I'm working with, because the font menu, excuse me, with the glyphs is just a little small, and I want to be able to really see what I'm working with. So on the right side, we're going to go to the font menu, and we're going to use a Christmas tree font that I have and some vintage inspired frames dingbats that I have. All my fonts are called VR and then whatever the name is, so that you can find them easily in your menu. So I'm going to double click up here. I'm going to type in VR space Christmas tree lot, and that's going to pull up the Christmas tree font file that I have here. And then I want to go to the glyphs menu, which is the little G, and the slider, you can make the glyphs small or large. I usually just go large because the small is really small and hard to see. And if you hover over the dingbat or the glyph, you'll see the design that you want to use. So this one is the under capital letter L, and I'm going to choose this one. Whoops, I chose it twice. I don't need it twice, but that's the one I'm going to use today. If you want to see some of the other ones, you can just type out the letters, and it doesn't matter if you're capital letter or lowercase letter, but each of the glyphs will type out the same. So capital A and lowercase a are the same glyph. But I'm going to go back and get rid of those because those are the ones that I'm going to use for something else. And today we're going to use this cute little tree with the swirls. So right now our design is still acting like a letter, and we need to make it into an object that we can change and manipulate. So to do that, I'm going to go up to Object, Ungroup, and then this bounding box will show up, and I can make it larger. And then I also need to release the compound path. And another way to do that is right click and go to Release Compound Path. And so now you'll see these boxes around each of the different designs. So that means that what I can do now is take this, I've got this piece I could cut, I've got this piece I could cut, and all these little individual pieces that can be moved around or changed if I need to. So I'm going to Command Z to get it all put back together. And one of the things I noticed when I cut this out the first time was this swirl was really thin and needed a little bit of weight to it. And also these top little swirls did not cut out well. So I'm going to show you how you can change something like that and make it better, where it will cut a little better on your machine. So to do this, I'm going to select the swirls, and I'm going to take, I'm going to cut this little top piece off. So I'm going to take my eraser tool that's over here, and I'm just going to slice through that like that. I'm going to take my selection tool, and I'm going to get rid of that little piece. Make sure I get rid of that little piece as well. So I want to make the lines around these swirls a little bit thicker so that they can cut better on my machine. So I'm going to select it like I have here. I'm going to go to Offset. I'm going to click Offset Selected Shape. And for this one, I'm going to make the line, it's just a subtle change, but it was just enough to make it where it cut better on my machine. So I'm going to go up here and change this to 0.025 and apply. And you'll see that it thickened out this line for me. But it's got some weird little bits in it. So let me show you what we're going to do with that. We're going to take this outside, the very outside layer, and we're going to move it. So this was my original here. I don't need that anymore. So I'm going to delete it. I'm going to move this back. And this is grouped together. So I'm going to right click. Oh, let me get where you can see the menu. Right click, and I'm going to release compound path again. So those little bits are not stuck together. And then I'm going to move this piece over and then select all of these and just delete those away because I don't need them. And so now I have a little bit thicker piece that I can work with, and I know that it's going to cut better on my machine. Now there's still just a couple of things that are not quite right with this. So I'm going to go up here to the top, and like I've got this little funky piece up here, so I'm going to zoom in so that you can see. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to go and use my Edit Points tool, and I'm going to take this tool, and there's a little crosshair there with the arrow, and you just push that little node up. Let me zoom in a little more. This one is really tight right here, so I want to make it just a little bit more of a gap there so that my paper doesn't get caught up in the cutting. And then I'm going to move this just a wee bit. And then this one is a little tight as well, so I'm going to move it back just a smidge. And then this one is almost touching that one, so I don't want that. So I'm going to move this as well. So now that looks a lot better, and I know that it's going to cut a little better on my machine. So let me zoom back out, and that looks better already. So there's still a couple of things I'd like to do to make this easier to cut and where I don't have so many little tiny pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this back piece, and I'm going to select that, and then I'm also going to select these two little pieces, and I'm going to go Command G to group them together, and I'm going to move it over here, and I want these to cut out so that I can see whatever paper I have behind my tree. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to modify, and I'm going to make it a compound path right here. Okay, so now when I cut this on my machine, this will cut out that little part of the bow. And then I don't want this, because this little teeny tiny piece, because I have something else in mind that I'll show you on the card that I made. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to group these together because I want these to be a different color. So I'll do Command G and move these here. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now. This is a little wonky, and that's okay because when I put it together, I'll still know where everything goes. And then with this piece, I don't want to cut this piece and this piece. I want to cut out the swirls on this other part of the tree. So I'm going to select both of those, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to make compound path over here in this modify menu. So now I've got this, and that's going to be one piece that will cut, and I like that little bit thinner line. And then with the tree stand, now when I cut this before, when I designed it, I made a lot of little lines, and I'm not really happy with how that is going to cut. It would do great if you were using vinyl, but I like to use a lot of paper, so I'm going to get rid of 2 of these little pieces, and then I'm going to move these in just a little bit. And now this has a little more space between the cuts, and I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to make that a compound path as well. Oh, I forgot a step. Let me back up to Command Z. I need a piece that's that outside edge. I need to Command C copy, Command V paste, and then I need to make this a compound path. So now I have a piece that I can color on the back, and then I have this one in the front that can be a different color. And I'm going to group those together or select them together, and then I'm going to go up at the top and do Object, Arrange, I'm sorry, not Arrange, Align, Center, Middle, and then that will line those up perfectly. And so now I'm ready to cut the tree. But before I do that, I want to put a frame around it. So let me get rid of those 2 little pieces. I'm going to select all of my tree pieces. I'm going to just group them together for the moment, Command G, and then I'm going to put it sort of in the middle, and then I'm going to select a frame to put around it. Okay, for the frame, I'm going to proceed basically the same as I did before. I'm going to go to my text tool. I'm going to change the size, make it larger. I'm going to move it down just a bit, and then I'm going to the fonts, and this time I'm going to look for VR Vintage Inspired Frames, and that's this one right here. Go to my glyphs panel, and this one I'm going to scroll down to the letter V. Takes just a minute. It's this one right here, I think. Yes, that one. Choose that one. Just click on it and then go through the same procedure again. I'm going to Object, Ungroup to make it where it's not acting like a letter. I'm going to go ahead and make it larger while it's still all together. And when these aren't colored in, it's a little harder to grab sometimes, but you just need to catch it on the edge and you'll be good. All right, so I want this to fit just a little tighter. So I'm going to select it and make it a wee bit smaller. And this one I'm going to eyeball because this tree is a little wonky. I don't want to center it. It'll make it look weird. So, or off just a little bit. Excuse me. So I'm going to leave it about like that. And for the moment, I'm going to take my tree and just move it off to the side because I want to modify this dingbat as well. So I want to make this outside edge of the frame just a little bit thicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it. I can right click, release compound path. And that when I do that, remember all these little pieces become individual pieces that I can manipulate or modify. So I'm going to select this outside edge. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to offset path again. This one I'm going to make 0.07 because I want it just a little bit thicker, but not much. And it's, you know, it's all personal preference. So however, whatever size that you want, feel free to do. I'm going to apply it. So now I've got two paths that it will cut, but I don't want that. I want it to be just one path. So I'm going to select both those outside paths, and then I'm going to modify. I'm going to weld it this time, and it will make it all one piece. So now I have that little bit thicker edge that I want. See, like that, but it's still separated. So I'm going to select everything again, right click, and make compound path. So now my frame is just like I want it. And as long as it's, the compound path is released, like some of these tiny pieces, if you don't want to cut them, especially if it was a smaller design or a smaller piece that you were going to put it on, you could take those out and you wouldn't have to worry about them. So I'm going to put this here. I'm going to move my tree back over and put it about in the center. I'm going to group it all up. And for the card that I made, I'm going to make it about 6 3/4 tall. So let's do that. And I know I can do this up here, not there. There's another place to do that, but oh, here we go, right here. But I'm going to just do it this way, and then a little bit over 4. So that's going to fit perfectly on my 5x7 card. All right, so now I'm ready to cut my design out, and of course you can put the colors that you want on this anywhere along this process, but I did not do that just so that you could see clearly what I was doing with the other pieces. So to get ready to cut, I'm going to ungroup it, make sure everything is ungrouped. And so now I have my frame that I can cut. I have these two pieces for the tree, the little tree stand. I have this piece. Oops, still need to ungroup that, I think. Or maybe I'll just need to grab it. There we go. And this back piece and the parts of my little bow. So you can, you know, arrange that however works for you, and you're ready to cut. So now I will go cut mine out, and I'll show you the card that I ended up with these dingbats. So this is the card I ended up with. I thought it turned out really cute. I used some pop dots to raise these pieces up. After I glued them, I added the frame. I added a little bit of vellum in the back that I cut from this design here, just the outside edge of it. I added a few little pearls here and at the top, and I think it just turned out really cute. The pearls kind of gave it that extra vintage look. You can find more of my dingbat fonts at the Silhouette Design Store and on Etsy, so be sure to check them out. Thank you again for being here today, and I hope to see you around the crafting world soon.